So first off, I just want to introduce myself. My name is Franklin. I'm the product app specialist for KITS. I'm also the content creation manager. So a lot of the catalogs that you see, a lot of the galleries, planning galleries that you see, it's actually my team that takes the initiative to creating them. I'm actually an interior designer by trade, but I have also done interior design sales in the past as well as a business development manager. So I come across this at both ends of the table, understanding what designers need, understanding what salespeople need. Okay. So just to start here, what I want you guys to do is go into your iPad settings. That's the nice little icon that looks like this at the bottom right corner of my iPad. And there are a few iPad settings that you'll be required to set, very minimal, but you do need to understand that whenever you use KITS and you plan on connecting to our cloud, you need to be connected to a strong and stable Wi-Fi. Any public Wi-Fis, any personal hotspotting usually doesn't cut it, and that's because I can't tell you how large the content is when you access it from our cloud. Now, if you're using the iPad and you sync all your catalogs and your planning typicals that you need for whichever meeting you're going to, you don't ever have to leave the Wi-Fi on because the actual content is saved to your iPad. So even though it requires a Wi-Fi connection, it's not dependent on Wi-Fi. Okay. The only time you need to use Wi-Fi is when you're connecting to the cloud or when you're communicating through email of, let's say you're trying to send out an estimation of your project or a rendering of your project. Okay. Now, if you just need to send simple emails through the app, personal Wi-Fi can do it. It does take a little bit of time, just depending on your connection quality. Okay. Other than that, the other thing that you do need to know as well is if you go into your display and brightness. Now, I don't know which iPad versions you guys have. I have an iPad Air, and what I want you to find is the auto lock function of your iPad.
You said auto lock?
Yeah, the auto lock function.
Thank you.
Okay. So whenever you're actually connecting to the cloud and syncing down content, the app must remain open, okay? Because all the features that are found in KITS are in-app only. All right. So that means if you leave the app while you're syncing the content, what happens is you stop that sync process, and you can possibly corrupt the data that's going to your iPad. It doesn't ruin the core data, just the data that's actually going to your iPad. All right. KITS sometimes will allow you to continue if you connect back right away. But if you find, if you've been trying to sync in the past and, you sync it before you leave and then you close your iPad and all of a sudden you come back in the morning and it's, still not finished syncing, it's because it stopped the sync. And when you reopen the iPad, it's trying to reestablish that sync. All right. So best thing to do is just cancel it and start it from scratch. All right. So as a best practice, what I always recommend is that when you do come into the office, while you're checking your emails or while you're grabbing your coffee, just run a random sync just to make sure that you have all the content that you need. Okay? And that's it for the iPad settings. All right, so we can go ahead and close that, and let's go ahead and open up the app. So I take it you guys had a couple days to play around with the tool, correct?
We have had a couple days.
Okay, good. You're going to find that you're going to be using KITS in the first while, a bit out of frustration, just getting used to the actual tool. But I can tell you it's pretty intuitive, and the way we've designed it was so that it can be simply used by anyone, no matter the level of tech acumen or even design acumen. The idea is that anybody can literally pick it up. It's just like using a digital catalog. Let's say you have, let's say you're using the Han catalog, and you need to search items. It's no different than trying to search items when you're in CAP 20. If you guys use CAP Designer at all, or 2020, however you establish your SIF or your worksheets. So it's just as intuitive as that. We use the same data set from the manufacturer that's provided to all the spec tools and visualization tools. Okay, one thing that most people sort of get wrong with Kits is they think it's a spec tool. It's actually not a spec tool. It's a visualization tool made for sales visualizations. Okay, so what that means is this is a way for you to create the actual furniture layout that your clients can't envision. All right, and then you can provide them with the proper renderings. You can provide them with estimations. Again, it's not necessarily a spec tool. It can be handled as one once you get used to it, but the idea is that you're still going to be using this in conjunction with some of the other spec tools that you normally use to create your POs and your quotes and stuff. Okay? So when you first open up the app, you get onto what we call as the project gallery screen, and that's what you see here. At the very top is what we call the navigation bar, and in the center of the navigation bar is my project quantity counter. So you can see here that I currently have 676 projects saved on my iPad. Now, this is a 64 gig iPad with a ton of apps. I love apps, so my iPad is riddled with apps. So you can see what we actually do, what the tool actually does. It really shrinks the size of these projects so that it can be handled through the cloud and be synced down to your iPad without too long of a delay. So that's part of the core tool is making it ease of access with shrinking the sizes of the projects that are created as well as the catalogs that are synced down from the manufacturers. Okay. Now the other thing too is all the projects that you create here speak to other spec tools like Cap Designer. So for instance, if you're working with the design team and you create a layout, you go out to see a client, everything looks great, you work the project with them, and you need to share this with your design team. They need to validate it against a larger project. What you can do is you can actually share your project with your design team by sending them an AutoCAD DXF and CIF file. So what they receive is basically the project becoming a DXF, which can be turned into a DWG. So then they could take this DWG file and then validate it against the larger project. So it has two-way communication, or you can even say three-way communication in that respect, so that you're not bogged down with having to communicate with design teams and not having them work with something that you've created. All right. So just to continue on with the navigation bar here, at the right-hand side is what we call the notification bell. And this is an important icon here for you to see and understand, because this is one way that Kits will tell you that there's a pending update or a project update that's ready to be downloaded to your iPad. All right, and simply enough, you can see that I have a 1 that's right here. Let me just dismiss this. And if you tap on that icon, now your iPad obviously looks different than mine, so don't worry about following step by step here. So you can see here that it's now notifying me that I have updates to subscribed catalogs that are available for me to download. All I have to do is tap Sync Now, and what that'll do is it'll find that catalog that's ready to be synced, and it'll start to sync it down automatically. Okay. So the one thing that I mentioned earlier was that all the features are done in-app only. That means Kits will only notify you of any updates when you're in Kits. We don't notify you by pushing any kind of notifications to your phone or to your iPad or send you any emails. It's only when you're in Kits that you'll recognize that you have some kind of pending update. So that's the reason why I say as a best practice, when you come into work and you're just about to grab your coffee or check all your emails, all you have to do is run a random sync and just make sure that you sync everything down to your iPad. Okay, so this is one way for Kits to notify you of any pending updates, and then I'll get back into the other way, how you can check for any updates as well. Now, if you need to refresh your memory on some of the functions and features of Kits, you can easily tap on the question mark here. Now, you will be required to be connected to a strong and stable Wi-Fi for this as well, but this will take you to our online tutorial page, where you can see all the different tutorials that we have here for Kits. All you have to do is find the one that you're looking for, and then tap the big play button in the middle, and make sure that your volume is up, because there is volume. Okay? And then all you have to do is tap on close to close that page at the top right corner. Now, other than these tutorials, we also have a slew of different resources that you can use. We do have a KITS Knowledge Center where you can actually visit. And in the KITS Knowledge Center, I do regular webinars every Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So if you're not receiving any kind of notification for those webinars, just let me know, and what I'll do is I'll make sure that Julia from marketing adds you to our contact list. And what we do is we just go through random features of kits, best practices. I go through certain processes of how I create projects, just so you can see, what you can actually do within a short period of time. Usually these webinars are about 30 minutes extended, but really it would take me about 10 minutes to create the project that I'm working on. We just expand it to 30 minutes, just making sure that you understand exactly all the steps that we do. So it's great. It's great to join us every Wednesdays. We recycle a lot of the content, so in case you missed the webinar, you could always check back when we're running it again, or you could just visit the Knowledge Center because we do record most of our webinars anyhow. Okay, so it's another resource that you can visit, as well as YouTube, where we have a ton of videos that you can watch on YouTube as well. All right, so there's a lot of resources there for you to review during your learning curve. The next feature is the sync link. We're going to go ahead and tap on that. And this takes us into the catalog subscription screen. So in the catalog subscription screen, you're going to see the content that's available to you, as well as the planning typicals that are also available to you. And as you can see here, under planning typicals, I have all these planning typicals on the right-hand side that I can review. And as I mentioned before, the majority of these planning typicals have been created by my content creation team. What we do is we work with the manufacturers so that we can sort of provide some kind of synergy between what the manufacturers can offer online in terms of these pre-planned typicals, and then what you can actually download on iPad through KITS. Now, we try to stay on top and as current with the changes that the manufacturers make, but as you can see, we have a lot of manufacturers, and it takes quite some time to actually build these typicals. So, we try to update them as quickly as possible. You can see here that we have quite a few updates as indicated in red. Now, on the left-hand side is what we call the publisher's list or the manufacturer list. And obviously, my iPad looks quite different than yours, and that's because I have administrative access over all the content. But if you know the manufacturer you're looking for, in this case we're looking at Han. Let's go ahead and tap on Han. You can see that there's quite a few items for us to download. Once I tap on Han, I can tell you that there's 12 catalogs that are available for us to download, and all 12 will be refreshed down in the right-hand side. So you can see all the catalogs that are available for us to download. Okay, in case you haven't updated your iPad like I did here, don't run it because we want to make sure that we can go through this training session. You can run it afterwards, but no worries. You can still use the content, and even if there's any kind of content change in terms of pricing or whatever, once you actually update your catalog, it will also update all your projects, your projects that you've already created. Okay, so that will be brought up to date. All right. Now, just to understand what you see here on the right-hand side. So this is the catalog list that's provided to you. Again, you can tell that there are 12 catalogs that are available for us to download from Han, and you can see that I currently have 5 of those already downloaded, and those are indicated by the big blue check marks in the radio button on the left-hand side of the catalog. Okay, in case you're old school like me, you'll have the catalog code on the right-hand side that you can always refer to. And selecting the catalogs is as simple as tapping on any of the radio buttons so that you can add that particular catalog on a sync list. Then this sync list is invisible, you don't see it, but anytime you tap on a radio button, it gets added to that sync list. Or if you tap on a catalog that you've already synced, that actually puts it on the remove list. Okay, so that when you tap sync now, anything that's available for you to download that you haven't downloaded already will be synced to your iPad. Anything that is checked and you've unchecked it will be removed from your iPad. Okay, it's as simple as that. The idea of the catalog subscription screen is for you to manage your content. Okay, because you don't necessarily will need you won't necessarily need all the catalogs at once. You may need just a few that your go-to catalogs that you always work. There's no reason why you can't sync all the all the catalogs, but the idea is that you can manage the content. So if you need particular catalogs and you need to rework your space, there's no reason why you can't remove anything and resync it back at a later date. Okay. The idea here is that you can manage this content. All right. Now, under each catalog is what we call the notification status line. And here you can see under the notification, under Accelerate, it says download available. And that's because that item has already been, it hasn't been synced to my iPad and is ready to be synced down to my iPad now. Okay? You remember I mentioned about Kits notifying you of any updates. This is the second way that Kits will notify you of any updates. It'll indicate that an update available in red, and that's the only way you can see it is if you go into the catalog subscription screen. Now, if you tap on, let's say, Accelerate here, where it says download available, you can see here that it prompts no information, and that's because it hasn't been downloaded to my iPad yet. If I tap on Abound, you can see that it does indicate some information, and that's because that's already downloaded to my iPad, as well as you can see that it says update available. Now, just to go into my planning typicals here for a second. So you can see here under Archibald, I have no status notification. And that's because that's just indicating to me that this particular planning typical has been downloaded to my iPad already. Okay, so a blank status notification line will indicate that that catalog or planning typical is currently downloaded to your iPad. All right, now what's the difference between the manufacturer catalog sets or manufacturer sets and the planning typicals? The manufacturer sets have been provided to us by the manufacturer. All we do is we take the same data set that the spec tools like 2020, Project Matrix, CET, this is the same data set that they actually receive. We get it as well. All we do is we convert it so that you can use it through the KITS Collaborator Mobile Edition. Okay? The planning typicals have been created by our content creation team. All right, so what we do is we try to do maintenance on these typicals so that you always have the most current typicals available. Some of the manufacturers actually work with us to create these typicals. Han actually plays a big part in creating the typicals. So what I do is I work with their data team, and what they do is they provide me with a slew of different typicals. We take them and we create them so that you have these galleries in kits. Okay. The manufacturers, because they provide us the catalog sets, when you're working on a project and you find a graphic that's, let's say, not available for a particular model number, or you find some kind of information not working, or maybe a swatch is not applying correctly on a graphic, that's because what we do is we only take that manufacturer set and we convert it. We don't do anything to fix it. And it's almost like finding a needle in a haystack, because even the manufacturers can't go through every single graphic and find which ones are broken, which ones need to be fixed. What they do is they rely on guys like us, and what we do is we rely on the field to let us know exactly what issues they're experiencing with the items, so that we can see whether or not it's something that we can correct on our side if it's an issue through kits, or what we do is we compile a list that we actually send to the manufacturer and say, this is what the field is experiencing. We need to fix these graphics. Okay, and eventually they'll get to it. Like I said, it's such a large data reserve to really go through, because there's so many graphics, there's so much text information that's associated to these models, the way they're created. So it's not something that can just be easily taken and fixed right away. Sometimes it does take time to have them correctly used in all the different spec tools and visualization tools. Okay, so that's pretty much the core of the catalog subscription here. You understand what the manufacturer sets. You understand what the planning typicals are. Anytime you want to cancel a sync, all you have to do is tap on cancel. All that does is it stops the actual sync, and it basically reverts back to the original state prior to when you hit sync now. Okay, so it doesn't retain any of that information. It literally just drops it so that when you run a sync again on that same item, it begins to sync it completely again. Okay, and then again, you have the question mark here to visit the online tutorial page in case you need to refresh your memory on catalog subscription screen. Right. Other than that, let's go ahead and tap on the projects link, and that will take us into the project gallery screen again. Okay. So now on the left-hand side is the project create or project start button. I'll continue on with the project gallery screen towards the end of the actual session, so I can show you how to organize, remove, and copy your projects. So what I want you to do is go ahead and tap on the big plus sign so we can get into the scene builder. This is the scene builder. So this is where, I always say the magic happens, because this is where you really get to play with the tool, and you get to actually wow your clients with what you can actually do with this tool, on an iPad. In the very center of the scene builder, we get a floor grid, and this floor grid comes in at a default size of 30 feet by 30 feet. This will always appear anytime you open up any of your projects, and this is actually the only way you can space plan your project, because we don't allow any kind of dimensioning or measuring, whatever it is, because the idea of this tool is it's a visual tool. Right? It's not meant to be a design tool. All right, so again, you can use the squares to help define your project. Each square actually equals 1 full square foot. Okay? Now you may also have this gesture ribbon at the very top. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it on for now so that we can go through all the different gestures that you're going to have to get used to when you use this tool. Right? Again, at the very top, we have the navigation bar, and in the center of the navigation bar, we have your project name or project title. Okay, so as a best practice, I always suggest what you should do is tap on New Project, and then what we can do is we can enter a new project name. Okay, and I'm just going to put training session. And once you have once you have the project name, all you have to do is tap on Return, and that should accept the name. Now, the project hasn't been saved yet. Okay, so right now we have an unsaved project that's named Training Session. The only time you can save a project is when you go through some of our key features that force a save, or if you tap on Projects right now, that will allow you to save the project. Here you can see it prompts a window asking you to save, don't save, or cancel. I'm going to go ahead and save. And in case you're interested and you guys use Salesforce, there is Salesforce connectivity. I don't necessarily go through it, but I can definitely get the correct person to talk to you about that. Okay? So here I'm just going to put later.
Franklin, real fast, that didn't pop up on my iPad.
Mine didn't, mine either.
Yeah, I know I have an older version than the other two in the room, but is there a reason why it may not have popped up?
Yeah, because normally when we go through this and we understand that Salesforce may be an option, we actually have to release it on our side, the option to seeing that Salesforce feature.
Okay.
Okay, so we control it on the back end. Like I said, if you guys are interested in it, then we can take it further, and I can get Laura Alvarez to talk to you about the Salesforce feature.
Okay, no, that'd be helpful. I'd be happy to follow up.
Okay. Thanks. So once
we don't use Salesforce, so it's okay for us.
Oh, there you go. So once you create the project, you can see here in the project gallery screen, it does create a thumbnail of that project. Here it contains the actual project name and the date timestamp of when that was created. Okay? Simply enough, to get back into the project, all you have to do is tap on the thumbnail image, and that will get you back into the project. All right? So now that we have this project saved, the reason why I like to do this initial save when you create the project name, even before you throw anything on your screen, is because Kits will do some automatic or auto saves in the background. So just in case the iPad crashes, you may have some kind of backup to go to. So when you go back into Kits, Kits will remember the where you were when Kits crashed, or where the last save point was. Okay. All right. So to continue on with the navigation bar, here the hand gesture, when you tap on it, will turn on and off the gesture ribbon. I'm going to leave it on for now. We know that the question mark gets you into the online tutorial screen. And then now we have the cogwheel, which gets you into project settings. So let's go ahead and tap on the project settings. Here you have some options for your project settings. You can adjust your floor grid size, and you can also turn it on and off. So anytime you see a control switch that's blue, that means the feature is currently on. Anytime you see a control switch that's white, that means the feature is currently off. Okay. Here you have the grid length and grid width. If you want to change that, all you have to do is go tap into the box. You can put in whatever dimension you want. Here I'm just going to put a 20 by 15. And then I'm going to tap on the keyboard icon here to close. And that will now change my floor grid size to 20 feet by 15 feet. The next set of options are your layout aids. Now, in case any of you have any kind of design background or design experience, like let's say with Cap Designer, you'll be familiar with what Snap To is. Snap To is a feature that's built into Kits, which allows you to move one item, which automatically snaps or connects to another item. So let's say you're bringing two same size, same model work surface together to create some kind of benching. It'll recognize the corners of each workstation or work surface, and it'll snap to that location. Now, this is built into the graphic that the manufacturer creates. Okay, so Kits at best will try to follow that, but if it's too intricate or too complex of an item, then it will simply use the bounding box, this blue box that is created over the item when you tap on it, and it'll use those points to connect to. You'll probably have to adjust certain items. So what you'll have to do is go into project settings and then just turn off the Snap To function, where you'll have most flexibility to editing the item on screen. Okay. Collision prevention is another feature. It is always turned off by default. I can honestly tell you I never use collision prevention. It's a feature that just will allow you, or won't allow you, to take one item and move it through another item. Okay. This prevents that collision. All right, so it is useful when you're, let's say, you're trying to go through a project quickly and you want to arrange some chairs along some kind of work surface or desk. You can actually move it to the chair, and once you hit the actual line of the table, the graphic will stop, so it won't allow you to push it through that table. All right. Again, I simply use Snap To. It's probably the easiest way to go, but again, you're going to actually play with the tool and find out what works best for you. So collision prevention may be a feature that you do use.
Why don't you use it?
Just because I actually don't even use Snap To. I'm pretty good with the tool, so I can move fairly quickly when I'm actually building projects. So it's just a preference on my point whenever I'm working on projects.
It doesn't, do you not use it though because it's inconvenient for you, or it does something you don't want it to do?
It just doesn't do anything that helps me when I'm working on my projects. Because, like you said, okay. I know the features well, so I just build the projects faster without having any of the layout aids on. Sometimes I will turn them on just to fine-tune exactly how I'm piecing things together. If that's required. Now, the one thing that you're going to understand when we get through this is, at the end of the day, you're creating a graphic. So the client isn't going to see that the table is 5 millimeters off or even 5 inches off, right? It's not going to be seen in that visual that you're creating. So if you can keep that in mind, you can actually go through these projects fairly quickly because you understand that what the client is actually going to see is the visual of the project. Right, not
so Frank, as us being relatively newer to the tool, would it hurt for us to just have collision prevention on just to be safe?
Oh, well, what I'm going to do is I'll go through the actual tutorial and I'll turn it on to show you what it does.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Okay.
for now, I'll keep it off because sometimes it can inhibit what you're actually trying to do because it's not allowing you to put two items close together.
Sounds good.
Right.
So if you put two items close together and say they ride on top of each other, and you put on collision prevention, and does that move them out of the way automatically?
It won't. It'll leave them on top of each other, but now you won't be able to move the other one away from the other item because so what it recognizes is the boundary line of the actual item itself. So once it's in there, it won't allow you to move it afterwards. So then you'll just have to turn it off and then move it again. Okay. The next set of settings are your list view settings. So in case you work on any government projects or that require GSA codes, you can simply turn them on by turning on this control switch. The next is the ability to hide items from your list view that are from the KITS Office Environment Catalog. This KITS Office Environment Catalog is the catalog which my content creation team has created, which allows you to add architectural items, people, plants, equipment that help you humanize your actual scenes. Okay, this is a way for you to show the client of the scale of maybe what the functionality of the space is going to be like with a graphic. And then the last is the CRM management, which, again, you guys don't need to because you don't use Salesforce anyways, and this will only appear if that feature is turned on for you. Last thing you need to know about project settings is if you tap on the About symbol at the bottom, that will show you the most current version number that you're running of KITS, which is 2.3.31. And this is useful in case you actually have an issue and you contact KITSsupport. They may ask you what version of KITS you're running. This is where you can find that information. Okay, so just so you know, we will be going through some major updates in the next couple of months. The next update that's going to occur will be, I believe, in a week or a couple of weeks. And this will help sort of speed up the actual sync process. Okay, where right now what it'll do is it'll take a look at the items that you need to update, and instead of syncing, let's say a catalog is created, or there's an update on a catalog, and there's only key items that have to be synced. What it'll do is it'll only sync those items, not the entire catalog. Okay, so it's a quicker way for us to create this sync feature. We're always looking to I guess you could say expedite the sync process, and that's because we know that everybody likes to work quickly, and you want your content as quickly down to your iPad as possible. Now, with that being said, this is always dependent on your Wi-Fi environment. Not all Wi-Fi environments are the same, so depending on the strength and speed of your Wi-Fi environment and the strength of your connection to that environment will really determine how quickly you can sync down your content. So just to go back, we're going to go ahead and tap on back, and that will get us back into the scene builder. So what we want to do right now is we want to bring in some items, but before I do that, let me just mention here, on the right-hand side, we have your view settings. So we're currently in the 3D view, but you can also go into a plan view, elevation view, as well as a parts list view. Okay? And then we also have the option of locking your camera. So this invisible camera that allows you to rotate and move your scene, you can actually lock that in place so that you can't move it. I'll show you how to use that as we go along. And then in case, what happens is sometimes you work quick fast, and all of a sudden you move your screen, or you move your center of your screen off to the left or right or up or down, and all of a sudden you got this white space and you don't know how to bring the center of your floor grid back. All you have to do is tap on reset, and that will bring your floor grid back to the default position. Okay, so that's kind of useful to know as well. Now on the left-hand side are your action buttons. So these buttons will allow you to edit your scene. We have a select button, add item, remove, duplicate, group, and ungroup. And I'll go through each item as we go along into the project. All right, so the first thing I want you to do is go ahead and tap on the add item button, which automatically will open up the add item menu, and also the catalog filter will prompt open. So here under the catalog filter, you'll see the manufacturers that you've synced down to your iPad, I'm not too sure if you guys only have Han, but you can see that, again, you can add as many manufacturers once they're available to you. You also have the option of looking at planning typicals, which is the first option. And if I tap on planning typicals, you can see that the submenu prompts open, and I can now see all the different planning typicals that I have available to me. Okay. Now these are the planning typicals that I've synced. So what you're actually seeing is only the content that you've currently synced to your iPad. All right. So here what I want you to do is go ahead and tap on the Han Planning Typicals gallery. And once you do, you can see on the right-hand side, it prompts up a thumbnail gallery. So I'm just going to tap on my catalogs link. So you have a few options of navigating through this planning typicals, just like you have the same options when you're going through a catalog. Here you can see that we've categorized this gallery to looking for items that are considered desks, tables, and workstations. Okay? We have also given you the ability, I just tapped outside of that submenu, of viewing all these typicals that have been created in a thumbnail gallery as well. So here if I flick up and down, you can see that I can look at all the content that has been created for me. Okay? Now, I'm just going to go ahead and tap on catalogs to bring up that filter again. If I tap on one of the submenus or the categories, let's say workstations, you can see that on the right-hand side, my thumbnail gallery has refreshed. So it's now reflecting the category that I've now selected on. I can then further that, I drill down into the planning typical. Let's say I want to look at only items that are found under a bound. Tap on that. Again, on the right-hand side, my thumbnail gallery will refresh to showing me only the items that are available under the Abound gallery. Okay, let's take it a bit further. I also want to take a look at some L stations. I'm going to go ahead and tap on L stations. And you can see that we currently have only one item that's found under Abound under L stations. Let's go back. Let's tap on Open Office. You can see I have 2 items available. So as you can see, every time I tap on one of these categories, it'll show me all the actual typicals that are available for me to use on my scene. Right? Now, if I tap outside of the actual submenu to go back to the gallery screen, you know that if you flick up and down, you can view all the items that are available. If I tap on one of the images, that now takes me into a full screen preview. Okay, so now I can see what some of these typicals look like with a nice larger image. The reason why we've done this is so that you can actually go through somewhat of a presentation view with your client, so that if you're looking to find and quickly ideate from a typical that is currently available for you to use, you can actually show your client this. And since I've tapped on one of the items and I'm now in a full screen preview, I can flick left and right, and I can go through every single one of these typicals that are available. Okay? Here you can see that we have the typical name, as well as a brief summary of what this typical is about. And then we have the pre-configured list price, as well as the option of tapping on details. If we tap on details, you can see that it offers a little bit of marketing information here, which talks about Abound, gives you some overall dimensions, where here it says 72 inches by 72 inches, I guess in the footprint size, and then the type of seating, which is ignition. Okay, if you tap on the hyperlink, that will actually take you to the Han website, specifically looking at the Abound workstations. Okay, so it's quite intuitive, and like I said, we try to create a synergy with the manufacturer, so that as a salesperson, if you're new to the actual product, you can use this tool as a way to learning what these items are about, because when you're even, if we flip it to the actual manufacturer catalog, instead of just looking at model numbers, you get to look at nice large images of what or what that model number represents. So then you can get familiar with what the products look like and how they work, as well as visiting the HAN website through the hyperlinks to finding more information about that. Okay. To close that, all you have to do is tap on the X. Now, in case you want to show your client these items in a presentation view, and I know how a lot of salespeople like to work. Sometimes we don't want to show them any kind of numbers. In this case, you can see here, we have a pre-configured list price that's at $27,576. That may throw off, what we're trying to do with the client. So if you tap on the image one more time, you can get into presentation mode, full screen presentation mode. And in this case, what it does is it eliminates all that information so that you can click left and right again to view all your project images. Okay? To get back into the other screen, all you have to do is tap on the image one more time, and that will get you back into the full screen preview. Okay? Now, if we want to use this typical, what we want to do is tap on Add to Project, and that will get us back into the project gallery or into the scene builder. Okay, and again, those same details that you saw there are the same details that are here as well. Now you get the option of adding this project to your scene. Okay, and to add this typical, all you have to do is follow these directions, drag to add. So we're going to place one finger on this graphic. We're going to tap and hold, and we're going to drag it so that it falls on top of your floor grid. And you're going to let go, and you can see it automatically appear. Okay? Now, from first glance, you can see that I have all these red boxes that are around each individual item. What that tells me is that this particular typical has been grouped together. Okay? So that anytime I tap off of the item, it will deselect the current selected item. Once I tap on any particular item in this layout, it'll automatically select all the items so that I can move it all at once. Now, the other thing that I noticed is that for some reason, the seat cushions here are off. Now, this can be a slew of different things. It could be that we have to fix the actual typical, or it could also mean that, remember when I was going through my catalog subscription screen and you saw a lot of updates that were required for me to sync? It could be because the information has slightly changed, and for some reason it affects these cushions. If I do the sync, it may correct it. If it doesn't correct it, that means what I have to do is I have to go in the background. I have to go into the typical that was created for this gallery, and I have to fix it physically so that it appears proper whenever anybody uses it. Okay, so these are just good indications for you to either update or for you to notify us of any pending issue that you found with the graphic that you're working with. Okay, and like I said, it's a needle in a haystack for us to find these images, only because we have so many galleries and so many typicals to go through that we can't do it even at a monthly basis, because we always have to start from the very first typical to go through, and usually what we do is we refer to the field letting us know. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on the typical, and we're going to follow some of these gestures here. Okay, so let's learn what you'll need to do to edit your scene. So the first one is camera rotate. If you follow the gesture and you place 2 fingers on your screen, you can actually rotate this invisible camera that actually, let's say, is above the actual the KITS scene universe, and it always looks directly at the center of the floor grid. Okay, that's the reason why when I mentioned when you bring in any kind of typical or item, that you bring it into the center of your floor grid. Okay, this way, once you start to rotate, what I'm doing is I'm placing 2 fingers on the left-hand side, and I'm just going to drag them to the right. That allows you to rotate completely without any issue around the item that you've added to your scene. Okay. The next camera option or camera feature is camera pan. You place one finger on your screen. You can pan your camera up, down, also left and right. Now, the next option is camera zoom. All you have to do is pinch in and out, and that allows you to zoom into the actual graphic. And you can even see here the quality of our rendering system, where you can really see the detail that's provided, even with the key swatches that are added to your scene. Okay. Now, the next option is item move horizontal. But before we go through this, what I want you to do is make sure that you tapped on the typical. And what I want to do at this point is I want to ungroup the actual typical. Okay?
Frank, can you slow down for 1 second?
Yeah, sure.
I lost the typicals.
All right, so are you clicking on an object, Franklin, before we move it, or how do we?
So what you're going to do is you're just going to tap on any of the items that are in the typical. Doesn't matter which one it is. All I want you to do is highlight the entire typical. And it should highlight in red, unless some of you have jumped ahead and ungrouped it already.
I get back to typicals.
Oh, and if you guys have any questions, feel free to stop me at any moment. Like I said, I got my schedule is open today, so I can take you through this as slow as quickly as you want me to. All right, and just let me know when you guys are ready to continue.
Almost there.
Give us 1 second here.
Yeah, not a problem. So while you're doing that, again, just to reiterate, anytime you bring in any kind of planning typical, the planning typical will always come as a group. So that if you tap on any item, here I'm going to tap on the chair on the right-hand side, it will always select all the items in that grouping. Now, the reason why that chair is in green is because what it's telling me is that that's the lead item that I've selected in that grouping right now. Okay, it really has no no benefit other than if you were to connect this typical to something else, that snap to feature will only work with the lead item that you're currently.
That's what happened to me.
I think we're okay.
Okay.
So I have a question though. What if I wanted to, since you've got that chair highlighted,
Yeah.
what if I just wanted to remove that chair or replace it with another chair?
So you would have to ungroup the typical. So that's what we're actually going into right now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So now that the typical is completely highlighted, what I want you to do is go ahead and tap on Ungroup at the bottom left corner here. And you can now see that that chair is now in blue. Okay, that is telling me that that particular item is now an individual item. So if I tap anywhere off of the item in this white space, what that does is it allows me to deselect anything that I've selected. If I tap on any one of the other items, you can see that they all now have blue boxes only. Okay, so now what I've done is I've completely ungrouped this typical. All right, so the first thing I want you to do is we're going to go into Plan View by tapping on Plan View here.
I screwed up.
Oh, you know what? In case you made a mistake, you have an undo button. You have this undo button here. This will allow you to undo the project up to, let's say, I think about 30 times. But anytime you tap on undo, it creates a redo. So you can always go back to where you left off.
All right, so Franklin, what I did was I highlighted a chair in blue, and then I hit the remove button, and it removed the chair. And then I went to add an item, and it completely blew me out of the project, and I don't know how to get back.
So you're currently out of the.
I'm back.
Right
Okay, I'm back.
You removed the chair too.
Sorry.
and the chair is still removed?
The chair is still removed. I was just trying to add a chair in, and I should just wait for you to get to stuff.
Yeah.
Not a problem. If you want to bring that chair back, you can tap on the undo button if it's highlighted for you.
Yep.
Okay. Now, just to let you in on something, we're going to remove the chairs anyways.
Okay. Yeah. Got it.
Okay. So what I want you guys to do right now is tap on Plan View. So you can see what we're looking at now is a bird's eye view of the actual project. So you're going to have to go through some of these views to help you actually set your items correctly in the scene. And what I want to do at this moment is I want to fix these cushions. So we're going to go ahead and tap on this one right here first. Once I tap on it, you can see that it highlights the length of the cushion. I'm going to place one finger on it, just like in the gesture that you see on the top here. And I'm going to drag it until it hits the corner of the inside of that table. And you can see your snap to function beginning to work because it's allowing you to snap to those corners. Okay? Then I'm going to take my finger again. I'm going to tap on the next cushion. And I'm going to adjust that as well. So just in case you tap on the wrong item, you don't have to deselect it. You can just keep tapping the item until you get the correct item you want to move. Okay? Now we're going to do the same on the other side. And remember, there's no reason why you can't zoom in as close as you want to actually edit that as well. Okay? And since we're in the Snap to, since we're in the Plan View right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap on this chair. And I'm going to tap Remove, and we're going to remove the chairs. Okay? So once I'm done with that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go back into 3D view. All right, great. So the next function is Item Move Vertical. All right. Now the good thing is the manufacturer presets a lot of these graphics to appear at the height they're supposed to be placed at. So for instance, we all know that most commonly work surfaces at desk height are going to be somewhere around the 29 inches above the finished floor space area. Okay, so every manufacturer will have a different idea of what their desk height is. Sometimes it's 28.5, 28.75, 29, whatever it is. Okay, the legs that they create will also be created at a specific height for your work surface to fall on top of those leg heights. So there's no need to actually move any items vertically, other than the fact that there are some items that can be placed at various heights. For instance, panels. If I tap on this panel here, if I were to bring it into the scene, it will appear on the floor because frames always come in at different sizes. So this panel may not come in at the correct height. You'll have to adjust it. So the Item Move Vertical will allow you to move any item off the actual floor grid. Here, just to show you, if I tap on this cushion and I place my finger just as in the gesture and I raise upwards, you can see that I'm actually raising that cushion off the actual floor or off the actual credenza that I was at. Here, if I tap on elevation, you can see that in even elevation mode, you can see that that cushion is vertically in the air. Okay, so that's just how that function works. Just remember, anytime you need to move an item up, you need to place 3 fingers on the iPad and move them up or down. Okay, I'm just going to tap on Undo to bring that cushion back down. Now the next function is Item Rotate. All right, but before I do this, what I want to do is I want to reintroduce some new chairs. So we're going to add ignition chairs again. But what we're going to do is this time we're going to access the manufacturer catalog. So we're going to go ahead and tap on Add Item. And in case you're still here on this initial screen, we're going to go ahead and tap on Back. And to get back to the beginning of my Add Item menu, what I can do is I can tap on the X to close off this filter. Or what I always do is tap on Reset All. And that will bring me right back to the beginning. So I don't have to go backwards into the catalog. Okay? What we want to do is we want to access the HON catalogs. I mean, I can simply click until I see the HON catalog or category, and then I can go through seeding, and I can drill down through the actual catalog. Okay, just going to tap on Reset All again. What I want to show you is that given that you know the product and you know what you want to look for, you may know the actual model number. You may have a CIF that's been given to you where you can actually plug in all the model numbers, or you may have to find something using some kind of generic phrase that the manufacturer uses. What I want you to get used to is using this search function. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and tap anywhere on the screen to close our catalog filter. Now I'm going to tap in the search box to prompt open my keyboard. Okay, the idea of the search box is I can search for any item by model number, or I can search by description. Now this isn't a Google search, and we just created this search feature, I believe, in the beginning of summer of 2016. And it's a first phase of our search filter. We wanted to eventually get to like a Google search where you can search for anything, and it'll be able to define that search by the words that you're using. In this case, you really have to know the manufacturer that you're working with, because some manufacturers have different lingo. Some will say, some will call work surfaces tables. Some will call them, some will call them work surfaces or tables. The other thing too is sometimes manufacturers will spell out words like credenza, or some will use CRED. So these are all things that you're going to have to get familiar with the manufacturer and the type of lingo that they use, because this search function only searches by how it's actually phrased, either in the description or as the model number. Okay, so getting used to using keywords like instead of typing out credenza, you write cred, or instead of typing out upholstery, you use UPH. We know that most manufacturers will use UPH, or even if they spell it upholstery, it still follows the same sequence of how it's spelled. So if you shorten the description, what it'll do is it'll allow you to have a greater search. Okay, so for instance, what we're going to do is we want to add some new task chairs. Again, I want to add some new ignition chairs. So I'm going to show you how you can search for that, as well as use the filters that we've provided for you. Okay, here I'm just going to tap in task. I'm going to tap search. And what KITS begins to do is it begins to search against all the content that I've downloaded for anything that contains the word task. So you can see here I have some typicals, again, that have the word task in it, and that's the reason why it's prompted. Now the results are much larger than what I want, so it's up to me how I use the actual filter to refine my my search to make it more of a granular search. So here I'm going to go ahead and tap on type, and by default the type filter will search for all items which represent the catalog items and all typicals. Here I just want to search for catalog items or model numbers, so I'm going to tap on items only. So again, my search will refresh to showing me single items only. Now I also want to refine the price. So here I'm going to tap on price, and right now I'm searching for any item that's found within the value of 0 and 40,000 plus. Okay, we're going to change that. I want to bring this back down, and I'm going to say we want to search within 0 to 1,500. Okay, again, that has refined my search, but still, there's still way too many items for me to look for. Okay, so we want to refine that one more time by using the catalog filter. So here I'm going to tap on catalog. I'm going to tap on HON, and you can see immediately once I tap on HON, it starts to refresh the search to showing me only those items that are found in HON that are within the price range of 1,500. Okay, still a little bit too much, so I'm going to tap on the catalog filter one more time. I'm going to tap on seating. Again, it'll refresh. I'm going to bring this down one more time. We're going to tap on steel seating, and since we know we're looking for ignition, I'm going to go ahead and find ignition seating. There it is. I'm going to tap on ignition seating, and all of a sudden you can see that it's now refined down to 5 items for me to choose from. So that's how you can use the filter to really filter down to the item that you're actually searching for. I want to add this item to my project. I can either tap on the plus sign that's at the top right corner, or I can just simply double tap on the image itself, and that will bring me, double tap one more time, there we go. My double tap is slow. There we go. So I can double tap on that, and you can see that it automatically brings me to the scene builder. Okay, before I add it to my scene, let's go through this. So right now, here's the add item menu in the scene builder. Here you can see it gives us the model number, catalog code, as well as the product details. Those are the same product details that are found in here if you were to tap on it. But immediately you can see that it gives you a nice graphic, and as well as the manufacturer list price of that graphic. We also have the option to configure price. Okay. Before I do that, what I want to do is I want to first specify this particular chair. So we're going to go through the first option, which is select finish, and we're going to tap on that. Here you can see that it's given me some options. I have arm height, so I have A, D, F, N, P, V. These are all specifications that are coordinated with how you're supposed to specify from the manufacturer. So when you create the CIF or you create the estimation, this carries the correct specification for this particular item. All right, let's go through some of these options. So if I tap on arm height, you can see that it automatically adds that to my specification. I'm going to jump over to armless. If I tap on that, you can see that it specifies that, but moreover, it actually removes the arms from the graphic. This is what we call a visual option, or sometimes you can call it a structural option, because it changes the structure of the actual item itself. Okay, not every manufacturer has this built into their catalog. Han probably does it the best. They do it the cleanest, and it works quite well. Okay, so you can see, you can go through this and you can see all the different options that you have. I'm going to go with fixed arms with a polished metal. Okay, and you can see here the graphic has changed, as well as the swatch on the finish has changed. Now, with that being said, sometimes you'll find a break in this. So if you're seeing that an item isn't reacting the way it's supposed to, don't worry. All you have to do is contact KITSsupport, let them know which model number is affected and what is wrong with the actual model number, so that they can actually refer it back to our data team, and they can see whether or not it's an issue in KITS or whether or not it's an issue with the graphic itself. Okay? So I'm going to leave that, and I'm going to go ahead and tap on Next. Here we're going to go into caster options. I'm just going to go with standard. And just in case, if you don't want to follow what I'm doing, you don't like the colors I'm selecting, you guys are the designers in your project, so you can go ahead and follow your go any direction you want. Also, at the end, what I can do is I can share this project with one of your key members, so that they get a copy of what we actually went through today, and then they can share it out to everybody else. Okay. See here, I'm going to go ahead and tap on Next. Now I have the option of selecting my back. I can either go with an upholstered back or a mesh back. I want to go with a mesh, so I'm going to tap on that. And again, you can see the graphic automatically change to indicate that. Let's go ahead and tap on Next again. Now I want to select upholstery. Okay, you can see there is a ton of upholstery to go through. Now you may not want to go through every single swatch. Your client may actually give you some options. They can say, you know what, give me some options that are in your grade 2 value. So what you can do is at the very top here, under your grade levels, I can select grade 2. So if I tap grade 2, you can see that my swatches below will refresh, showing me now 120 swatches that are available under the grade 2 fabrics. Now, that doesn't stop you from further filtering the items that are in grade 2. I can actually select each series that's listed under grade 2, like Dottie, Geo, Sock Hop, Moguls, Esplanade. I can pick any one I want, and what it'll do is it'll refresh to show me those swatches only. Okay? You can pick as many as you want. And again, the swatches will always refresh to indicating those items that you've selected. Now, in case you want to deselect any of those items, all you have to do is simply tap on the filter you want to deselect, and that will remove it. Okay? Now, you can even further that filter by now choosing the colors. So if your client says, you know what, I only want to see what you have available in grays and blues, I can tap on blue, I can tap on gray. Let me see what you have in orange, I can tap on orange, and you can see how quickly that begins to add and change your swatch selection. Okay, so you can really refine what you're searching for based on your client's criteria. All right, once you find what you want, you can go ahead and tap on it. I'm going to go with Mandarin, and that now gets added to my chair as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and tap on Next. Here it's going to just indicate that this is a standard black frame. I'm going to go Next. And now I'm going to change my base to being polished. I'm satisfied with that, so what I'm going to do now is tap on Done, and I've now fully specified that chair. It hasn't been added to my scene yet because I haven't tapped on it and dragged it to my scene. Okay? Before I do that, what I also want to show you is if I place 2 fingers on this graphic here and I drag, I can actually turn that graphic around. Now the reason why we do this is so that you can position it. Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to go through that again. Now in case you tap off of the screen, you'll lose the specification because it hasn't been added to your scene. So anytime your specification will be retained is only when you add the item to your scene. Okay, so let me just quickly get back to where we were. Okay, so you can position this graphic any way you want to present it in the item cut sheet that we're about to create. Okay, so I'm just going to leave it like that. And now we're going to create this cut sheet by tapping on Quick Sheets here in gray. So I'm going to tap on Quick Sheets. What that will automatically do is create a PDF on the right-hand side showing me the actual graphic as I've left it in the position, which I can send to my client. Now you can see here if I flick up and down, there's no information on this cut sheet. What I can do is on the left-hand side, I can turn on all these control switches. So if I want the client to know what model number it is, what the options and finishes are, what the product details are, what the pricing is. And you can see there's no pricing because we haven't applied one. So you can add all this information to it. Okay, let's close this for one moment. I know I have to select an option here to finish that spec. What I want to do is I want to configure pricing for the item only at the item level. Here, I'm going to tap on Configure Price. I'm now given the option to affecting the actual manufacturer list price that I currently see it at. So I can choose which price zone I need to fall under. In case you don't know what price zones are, you could talk to your Harwart, or basically price zones can reflect a slew of different things. It can reflect U.S. To Canadian pricing. We actually have some catalogs that have U.S. pricing, Canadian pricing, as well as French pricing, okay, or French catalogs. Also, this may also indicate a range in which the actual item has been priced. So in case you're working on a project that has a standing price of, let's say, 5 years, then you can actually go back into the current price zone or into the price zone that reflects when the project was closed, and you can actually get that pricing from that price zone. Okay, so for instance, if we worked on a project that was created a couple years ago, and here you can see that the lowest price zone I can get is pricing from this range up in 2015. I can select that, and the price list will change accordingly. Okay, I'm just going to go leave it in price zone 1. We're going to go to configure price. Now in pricing method, I'm going to go ahead and tap that. This is a way for you to include your upcharge or the margin that you want to make, whatever it is. Here we want to add a list plus. I'm going to say we want to make at least 15 points. So I'm going to tap on that. I'm going to enter 15. And then to close that, I need to tap on the keyboard icon at the bottom right corner to close. Okay, and you can see automatically, here's the catalog list price from the manufacturer. Here's now the adjusted list price indicating the 15 points that have now added to this project. Okay, You can further your price by adding a discount method. So if this is a client that I work with all the time, or if this is a very large project, I need to get into competitive pricing. I'm going to go into list less. We're going to offer this client for the seating, we're going to offer them 45%, so I'm going to add 4.5. And then I'm going to tap on the keyboard icon to close. And you can see here that we've now added 45% off to the actual chair, which is now indicated in the new sell price, $580, which is 45% less of the adjusted list price at $1,055.70. Okay. Once I have that all adjusted, I'm satisfied with that. I'm going to go ahead and tap on Apply. That will now apply it to this particular item. So you can see here, it indicates list less 45%. Now if I were to create my cut sheet, and I tap on Quick Sheet, you can see automatically KITS will recognize that we added some kind of discount. It will now add it here. You can see that I have my list price at $10.55. And if we go all the way to the bottom, you can see less discount, and there's the actual total sell price. Okay, so this cut sheet you can print if you're connected to an Air printer or if you have a PDF printer on your iPad, or you can tap on Send. What this will do is it'll access the email address that you have by default on your iPad. So in case it's not your professional, your office email, you may want to send it to your office email. All right, here's the generic email that it's going to create. There's a PDF cut sheet. I can tap into the comments area, add any comments. Just make sure if you're going to send your email, you have to add a recipient, and then you can send that to anybody. Okay, so I'm just going to go ahead and cancel that and close the actual PDF. Now we want to add this chair to our scene. What I'm going to do is I'm going to tap and hold this graphic, and I'm going to drag it, just as we did with the typical, to the scene. And I'm going to try to place it relatively where it's supposed to go, and I'm just going to let go. Okay. So here we have the chair that's now added to our scene. Let's go into the next gesture, which is item rotate. We're going to go into plan view. We're just going to zoom in to get that into the center. And what we want to do is we want to do an item rotate. Okay, so we're going to follow the gesture by placing 2 fingers on our screen, and we're going to place them and rotate them together to rotate the item. Now this is probably the hardest gesture to follow. So what I'm going to do is, just to show you, we can lock our camera. So I'm going to tap on lock. You can see that it's now locked because I now have this yellow lock, and it indicates in text here that it's locked. If I try to pan my screen, I actually can't. It's locked in this view. And you can see anytime I try to move my camera, that icon at the bottom right corner is doing a little jig because it's indicating that, nope, you can't move the camera. We're currently locked. Now if I try to rotate, I know that I'm rotating the item if I see the item moving. I know I'm trying to rotate the camera if I see the icon moving. Okay, so that's just a good way for you to get familiar with the actual gesture itself. So here we're going to rotate it, and we're going to place it so it's facing the correct position. All right, now I'm going to take this item, and I'm just going to bring it closer to the desk, and you can see the snap to working again as it's snapping to the front line of that desk. Okay, let's tap on unlock, or let's unlock our camera, and let's go back to 3D view. All right, great. So the next gesture is drag select. So this is a great way for you to select multiple items. Anything that's caught in the selection box that we create will be automatically selected. And the reason why we like to do that is so that in case we need to select items that have smaller items that are underneath, could be brackets for work surfaces, and it's too hard for us to manipulate the actual camera to find, where we place those. Anything that's caught within the selection box gets automatically selected. We can then group. So what I always suggest that you do is anytime you're completed some kind of layout, even though you're not done the spec or added the swatches, what you can do is you can automatically select that grouping so that you can select it, so you can actually create it as a group, so that now what I want to do is this storage area here with the seating, because I tap on it, it now indicates that every item is individual. I want to actually create a selection box to capture that entire group, and then I want to group it together. So the best way to do it is, in this case, we can rotate the camera as best as we can, or again, we can go back into plan view, zoom out, so that you can see that we have an overhead view of the actual layout that we want to group together. So in this case, we're going to follow the gesture. We're going to tap with our left hand on the select button. So here I'm actually tapping with my thumb. I'm tapping and holding. You know that I'm tapping and holding, just as in the gesture here, because the icon is in gray. And now I'm going to place my finger on my right hand at the top left of the layout that I want to group together or I want to select. And then I'm going to drag across it, just as in the gesture. So here I'm going to place my finger just at the top left of the actual layout, and I'm dragging diagonally across. Once I do, anything that's caught within this magenta box that I've created, or this blue box that I've selection box that I've created, and when I let go with my right hand and then let go with my left hand, you can see that now I have multiple blue boxes that are surrounding all the items that are caught. If I go to my 3D view, you can also see that anything that was below is also selected. So once I'm satisfied with that, I'm going to go ahead and tap on Group, and that will now allow me to group those items together. Okay? I want to do the same thing for here, but before I do that, what I want to do is I want to tap on that chair, and then I'm going to go ahead and tap on Duplicate. Once I tap on that, you can see what it does is it creates a copy of my chair. Okay? So we can just move it out. Let's go into Plan View. And just to show you the collision prevention button, I'm going to go into the project settings. I'm going to turn on collision prevention. Let's go back. I'm now going to drag my seat to the table, and you can see that it's not allowing me to drag that seat through the table. So that's the collision prevention icon working. Now sometimes it's stopping a little bit short, and that's because it's recognizing some kind of boundary that's invisible that we don't see. But you can see here that it's preventing me from moving that. If I turn off my collision prevention and now I drag that, it allows me to drag it through any item on my screen. So you can see how, it's really up to you how you want to actually use that function. Again, you're going to be using this and you're going to get familiar with what features work best for you. Okay, so I want to go ahead and flip this around so that we can actually set this on that side. Okay, it doesn't matter how we actually position it. I'm just going to leave it like that. Okay, let's go to 3D view. And the last gesture is multi-select. So just like the drag select, this will allow you to select as many items as you want. In this case, if I tap on select, but this end tap and let go, it will now highlight in blue. Any item that I select will be added to a selection. So I can go ahead and tap as many items as I want, and I can do whatever I want with that. I can move it out if I need to change something. If I need to bring it back, all I'm going to do is tap on undo. And anytime I want to turn off that feature, I have to make sure that I tap on the select button to make sure that I turn it off. So now if I tap on any other item, it now deselects the current selection and selects only that item that I've selected. Okay, let's first group the top here into a grouping. We're going to do a drag select. So I'm going to tap and hold the select button, place my finger diagonally across the actual layout, create that box, let go with my right hand, let go with my left hand. Now I'm going to tap on group. I've now grouped those items together. So now anytime I tap on any one item that's grouped together, it will select all the items in that grouping. Okay, so that's what I always like to do, especially when you're working with items that need to be clustered together. Now, another thing that I also want to do is I want to group both these items together. So here what I'm going to do is, instead of doing a drag select, since I know all the items are grouped in this one layout and all the items are grouped in this layout, I'm just going to tap on select. I'm going to turn on the multi-select. I'm going to tap on the other storage area, and now I'm going to highlight that, and I'm going to group those together. Now I'm going to tap on select again to turn that function off. So you can see now anytime I tap on any item, it now selects all my items. So I can move them as one. Okay, so that's the drag select function there, and that's all the features that we've gone through. So we can go ahead and turn off our gesture features by tapping on this hand icon. And we can now move on to actually specifying the project. Does anybody have any questions?
So this question is probably more involved than we want to get into, I'm sure, than we want to get into right now. But let's say a customer liked this typical, but just as an example, wished the returns were 6 inches longer on both sides. Is there an easy way to do that?
So what you want to do is you want to create a special.
Yes.
There's no easy way.
And you don't, if that's very involved, then maybe another session.
Well, it's actually part of our freeform feature. Now, I don't normally show that in the basics. You know, the idea of the basics is to show you what you need to know as you go along. What we can do is we can set up another time to go through some of the key features. Or what you can do is you can also follow the online resources that we have, because I have a ton of webinars that are on how to use the freeform function. That actually shows you how you can create specials using Kits.
Thank you.
Okay. Now, the one thing that you do have to understand is you can create the special to indicate in text, but not in graphic, because we cannot manipulate the actual graphic itself, because that's created by the manufacturer.
Okay.
It's something that we're kind of playing around for a future update with Kits, but that really does take it one notch up, because you know, manipulating any kind of graphic really takes a lot of development. Okay.
Yes.
All right. So the first thing I want to do is I want to start specifying this project. I'm going to go ahead and double tap on one of these work surfaces. Okay. Automatically, you can see the edit item appear, edit item menu appear. Here you can see that right now we're currently selected on that current work surface. And then these are the current specifications that have been added. So you can see that a white band has been added to the edge of the work surface, as well as the grommet colors are also in white. Okay? I want to change all this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and tap on the first option, which is select laminate. Again, you can go through the grade filter you want to go through, or you can go through the color filter you want to go through. Here I'm just going to go through a color filter. I'm going to tap on gray. These are all the options. Let's see what we have in brown. I'm going to select that as well. So I'm going to go ahead and add this first laminate here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and tap Porticotique, and you can see automatically that graphic get applied to that work surface. Now, before I do anything else, I'm going to tap on Replace All. So what this is actually going to do is it's going to recognize all the other surfaces that are in the project that can take the same finish or may have this same selection finish structure as this table, and it's actually going to apply it to that model as well. Okay, so here I'm going to select that. I'm going to go ahead and tap on Next, and you can see how quickly, with that little flash, how it's added that finish to all the items that can take that finish. I'm going to go and select my edge band. I'm going to select gray. I'm going to go with shadow. I'm going to tap on Next, and now I'm going to pick shadow for my grommet color as well. Okay, I'm satisfied with that. I'm going to go ahead and tap on Done, and look how quickly you're able to specify all the other items. Okay, let's take this a little bit further. I'm going to double tap on the legs here. So you can see we have this O-leg support. I want to change this color. We're going to tap on that one more time. This time I want to go ahead and I want to use Platinum Metallic. I'm also going to tap on Replace All. I'm going to pick Platinum Metallic, and I'm going to tap on Done. And you can see again how quickly it's been able to recognize all the other items that have similar finishes, like the trim on the frames, like the pedestals as well. So I've now added a platinum finish to all those items. Okay, let's go ahead and change the color on these credenza tops. or storage tops. Here, what I want to do is I want to make that white, so I'm going to tap on this selection. I'm not going to tap on Replace All, because if I do, it's going to recognize all the surfaces that can take on the same kind of finish. This time I'm going to just tap on white, go with Brilliant White, tap on Done, and you can see what it's actually done as well. It's recognized any like item that's in the scene, and it's applied the same finish to that. Because these are both the same item, and if I go to my list view, because that that table, let's find the table. Easiest way to find anything when you're in list view is if you go to all catalogs here, you can actually select the category that you want to search in. Here I'm going to go ahead and check Abound. Let's see if it's in there. Oh, it's not in Abound. So it's probably in Storage and Files. Oh, and there it is. So here's the actual finish. Because both those surfaces appear in one line, anytime I make a change to one, it'll make a change to all. Okay? So you can see how we don't necessarily have to tap on Replace All to make a change to the same item. If it's the same item and we add a finish to it, it'll make sure that that finish is added to all like items as long as it appears on the same line. Right? Here, like the frosted glass, what I want to do is I want to change that. Instead of frosted glass, we want to make it clear. And I'm just going to go tap on Close. You can see what it's done is it's recognized all the other glass items in the frames, and it's also added that to being clear. Okay, let's go ahead and change some of these tile colors. So here, I want to change this tile color. I'm going to go ahead and tap on blue. We're going to filter down to a blue. I'm going to pick Azure, tap on Done. You can see what it's done is it's only applied that color only to the top tiles because those are all like items. Let's go change the bottom tile. Tap on the actual option. Here we're going to pick a gray. And you can pick anything you want. I'm going to go with pewter. Tap on Done. And just like everything else, it's also made that change to that selection. So you can see how quickly we can actually change any item that's in the scene. Moreover, any typical that you create can be fully editable. Okay, so we don't even actually have to contain all the items that are found as typical. If we need to remove something, we can easily remove it, and we can make those changes based on what the actual client wants. The idea of the typical is to help you quickly ideate based on what the client actually needs for their project. All right. Now, a good way to check whether or not you have all your specifications is if we go to List View.
So Franklin, we have about 10 minutes left here. Would it be all right if we just kind of move forward to see how we kind of put together a quote?
Oh yeah, no problem. You know, before we do any of that, what you want to do is make sure you position the layout as best as possible. So here you can see that I'm trying to utilize the actual frame of the iPad. The reason why I'm positioning it this way is I want to create a rendering. Okay? So whenever you're client-facing, what you need to do is make sure that you use your first rendering option. I'm going to go ahead and position it. Tap on HD Render. Here we have 4 rendering options: good, better, best, and line drawing. What I want to do is I always want to use good quality fast whenever I'm client-facing because that's the fastest rendering option. I'm going to go ahead and tap on that. That will take anywhere between 10 to 15 seconds to generating a high-definition image. When I mean high-definition image is the quality of the actual image itself, as well as the rendering additions that we add, like light and shadow. Okay, so you can see actually that quality is quite decent. If you do use the best rendering option, that will take anywhere between 7 to 15 minutes, or even longer, depending on the intricacy of the project that you've created. But here you can see we've done actually a nice image that's good enough. But if you really want that polished image, you'll have to use the best rendering. What I'm going to do is tap on Export. I always like to save it to my photo library. Or what I can do is I can also email it out to my client. Here you can see that it creates a generic email, and it adds that image to that email as well. Okay? Just like the cut sheet, I can add comments or any recipient I want. Okay, so that's there. The other rendering I like to do is also place it in plan view and adjust it so that I utilize the size of the iPad frame. This time tap on HD render, and now I want to do a line drawing. Okay, so you get a nice bird's eye view of what that layout is going to look like. I can also save that to my photo library, or I can email that out to my client as well. All right. Anytime you create any kind of renderings for your project, if you tap on HD render and you go to view previous renderings, you can see all the renderings that you've created for that particular project. All right. Now you want to share this project. So let's go ahead and tap on the share icon. That's right here. And we can go through the first one, which is create quick sheet. So this is the estimation or the cut sheet that you're going to create of the project for your client. So we're going to create quick sheet. Here it's going to prompt us to save the project. So let's save the project. And now you're given this cut sheet, which shows the entire parts list of the actual project itself, as well as any kind of pricing that has been provided for this project. First thing we want to do is we want to change the project name. Okay? This project name doesn't change the name of the project, just the name of the current cut sheet. So here I'm just going to say this is the KISP office. And I'm going to tap on return. Next, it's giving me the option to choosing what kind of visual I want to use. So here I'm going to tap on HD rendering. And now I can choose between any of the renderings that I've selected or created, and it now adds that to my sheet. I can add discounts here, but now be aware, if you add discounts at this level, it adds it as a global discount against the entire project. So what that means is if you created any kind of discounting at the item level, it will further discount it again. So it's either you use the discounts at the item level or you use the discounts at the end to create your ballpark estimation price. Okay? I can add some custom cell line items. Let's say we want to add shipping and handling. Here I'm just going to tap in SH and tap on the keyboard to close that. Tap in the value now. We're just going to say shipping and handling is going to be $500. Okay? So you can see here now that it's now added that shipping and handling price of $500 to the project. Right? Next, I want to add some notes. I'm going to go ahead and tap on notes. And if I want to add any notes here, I need to turn it on. And then I need to tap in the empty box underneath notes. Here I'm just going to say, here is your project estimation. And I'm going to close that. So you can see that that note has now been added to my PDF. All right. Now we have the item details. So obviously, you know, as a salesperson, what I always like to do is protect my bid because we already know how competitive this industry is. I don't want them to take around all my hard work and take it to another dealership and say, I need you to quote me the same items here. What I want to do is I want to sort of hide what I want to show them. So here you can see that it's showing me all the items, even the discounts, or how I got the pricing based on the discounts here. What I can do is I can turn off my discounts. So you can see now it's not showing you that I've taken 45% off from this particular item. I can turn off my thumbnails so they don't even see what that actual item looks like. I can even turn off my options and finishes so they don't even know how I got to that actual price level. Okay, so this is a great way of protecting your bid. You can see here that I have now just the price list of the items that were selected for this project. If they're discounted, you can't see how the pricing was discounted. You can't even see the upgrade level of the finishes that were selected for the particular item. Okay, that if you're satisfied with that, you can actually send that out in the email. Or if I just want to show them this nice image as well as the actual total sell price, let's turn off item details. I'm now left with a one-sheeter. Okay, and I can send it off to my client by tapping on send. There's that generic email. Here's the actual project estimation. And again, just like the other cut sheets, add a recipient, add any comments. Okay. I'm just going to delete that draft. And now let's go back. Let's go back to the share icon. Here what I also want to do is I want the option of sharing this project, let's say with my other team members or anybody else that has a KISS license. So I'm going to tap on Share Project, and now what I can do is I can add any recipient to this email address as long as they have a current activated KITS license. Okay, so this is a way for you to share projects between other KITS license members or your peers, basically. All right, and then the last share option. The last share option here is creating an AutoCAD DXF and CIF file. So here I'm going to tap on AutoCAD DXF and CIF. What this does is it exports your project as an AutoCAD file. Now this AutoCAD file is saved in the format of DXF. If you're not familiar with that file extension, all a DXF extension is the generic file format that can be used for any CAD-based system. So just in case somebody that you're working with, let's say it's a designer that's contracted and you need them to work on this project, you send them this DXF file. They may not use AutoCAD, they may use SolidCAD or PowerCAD or whatever CAD software is out there. They can actually open up this project or this DXF file in any one of those CAD systems. All they have to do now is if they need to use it for AutoCAD, they need to revert that DXF file into a DWG so that they can actually use that and use it against the larger project. Now, on the flip side,
Franklin, I'm really sorry to cut you off, Franklin, but we are just about out of time here. Really, thank you for all of your help and all your support this past hour and a half here.
No problem. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, what you can do is you can contact me. We can go through another session, or join me every Wednesday during my webinar Wednesdays. We add a few minutes after the actual webinar to go through any questions that you may have. It may not have to be on the webinar. It may be something that you're running into. Or you can always contact KITSsupport.
Great. Well, hey, we really appreciate it. Will you be emailing this recording to the Tihan at FMOP and Morales at FMOP as well?
Yeah, you know what? Anybody that I had for the invitation that I sent out, I'll send that out. In case you need to share that with your team, all you have to do is share that link with anybody else. This is it's a personal link, so you can only see it. You can only see it based on the person that you share it with.